Let's Talk Supply Chain. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Let's Talk Supply Chain. My name is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey, and I'm super excited to be here with you for another episode of our podcast here on site at Manifest. And I'm with Samsara. We're going to get to them in just a minute, but before I do that, we have a question for you like we always do. So let me ask you this question. So at the end of 2025, today's guest released its first ever safety report. And the findings revealed a step change in AI-driven operations performance. So by what percentage do fleets that implement their full safety solution reduce their crash rates? Well, let me know your guesses over on social and keep listening because I will let you know at the end of the show. And so I'm super excited because we're here to talk with the pioneer of the connected operations platform. So welcome to the show, Tim.
Thank you. Very nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you here. I had Kieran on the show just a little while ago, and we got the full scoop on who Samsara is, who you are, what you do.
He's got a lot of history. Yeah.
So go and check out that episode with Kieran to learn just a little bit more. But what I'd like to know from you today is give us an introduction. Tell us who you are, what you do, and then a brief overview of who Samsara is.
Okay, great. Well, like you said, I'm Tim Nagy. I lead our sales engineering team here at Samsara, which is a team of engineers who go out and speak with our customers during the trial phase and kind of figure out what the customer's requirements are and match that with Samsara's solutions. And I've been at the company for about a year, so relatively new, but really having a great time over here. And Samsara, like you said, we run the connected operations platform, which is a way to service physical operations in the world. It's technology that mostly applies to the physical operations world, which is about 40% of global GDP, a significant percentage.
Wow. I had no idea.
It's a lot. And inside that 40%, about 1.8 billion people are frontline workers. And so that is sort of a segment that we're trying to attack and go after in terms of making their job more efficient, easier to do, and safer. And so we'll be talking more today about how we make that happen.
Yeah, safety is at top of mind for you at Samsara. I wanted to address your title. It says sales engineer.
Yes, yeah.
Which I think I might steal, by the way.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
I love that because that means that you're sitting down with the client and really truly understanding what it is that they are challenged with.
Yes.
And engineering a solution tailored to what they need, right?
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And basically, you get two different kinds of engineers. You get the kind who don't really want to be out there in the field talking to customers, and they do the coding and the product development. And then you get my team, which are people who love being out and speaking with customers and meeting with customers. And so we have a lot of fun in the field. We get to see a lot of tech out there and a lot of different businesses. It's a great job.
Awesome. Well, we're here at Manifest, and I have to ask you because there's so much going on here.
Yeah.
Lots of conversations are happening. You must be a very busy guy here because there's a lot of people to meet.
Yeah.
You're having a lot of interesting conversations, I would imagine. What's kind of top of mind for everybody?
Yeah.
Does anything surprise you by what they're thinking about, how they're thinking about the industry?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you can't tell from the podcast, but this is quite a large event.
Yeah.
And there are 7,200 people here this year, I hear, which is a significant increase from prior years. And there's a lot happening. I mean, right in front of us here, there's a robot that's putting together gift boxes. And I guess that, to me, the size of the event is pretty surprising. But the scope of the event when it comes to AI is very surprising. There's a lot of talk in the hallways and at various customers about the impact of AI and what it's having on supply chain operations. And I pretty much haven't had a conversation today that hasn't been kind of focused on that.
Yeah.
So
AI and costs, I think.
Yeah.
Sort of the two
big
topics that I've been hearing about while we're here. We can't talk about supply chain without talking about AI.
Right.
I think there was a report just a little while ago that said 85%, I think, of supply chain leaders and organizations are really doubling down on AI in 2026.
Right. Yeah,
Which I think is incredible.
It is incredible and very true. You wouldn't want to be one of the 15%. Actually, you've got to
that aren't.
Right. That aren't. Yeah,
that might be a red flag.
Right, that might be a red flag. Yeah, I mean, it's fair to say that AI and the technology that we're seeing in it right now is transforming the way we operate. And we'll talk about this a little bit more in the next bit on the podcast. But there are things we can do now that we couldn't do 6 months ago, and that's all due to AI.
Well, and that's just going to continue to happen. Right. Things are going to continue to change.
Exactly.
We actually don't even know what we're capable of, I think, within the next 12 to 18 months, even standing here today.
Right. And what's interesting for us at Samsara, we make our AI tools available to our customers. We have a little AI button on every screen that they can click. And they're using our technology in ways that we ourselves had not even anticipated.
Really?
Already, yes. Yeah. Okay. Creating, for example, reports that match some legal standard in the state that they operate. They ask the AI to do that report, and it spits it right out. A job that used to take someone a week, now they can do in a minute.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about road safety and logistics today.
Yeah.
And I know that, AI technologies, the tools that we're using are really enabling us to go from reactive to proactive.
Yes.
How is that the case in road safety or logistics right now?
Yeah. Great question. Here at Samsara, we talk internally and externally a lot about our job is to prevent accidents before they happen. And AI and tech in general is making that possible now. Just as an example, we are now able to detect when a driver is becoming drowsy through 30 different signs that the camera is looking at the driver and noticing, droopy eyelids, little twitches, maybe some movements. There are about 30 different things we can track. And when we notice that, we can tell the driver, hey, it's time to pull over. We announce that straight on the camera. And that's a way to predict when you're about to have an accident. There's so many accidents, especially at night, caused by drowsy driving. So that's one way that we're doing some predictive analytics. And then another way that I think is kind of interesting, we launched this product last year that we have called weather intelligence.
Okay.
The weather plays a role in about 1 in 5 accidents, and it also
not surprising.
Right. You know that as a driver when you're on an icy road or even in rain, and in not only that, it also can slow down supply chain as well because weather interrupts the deliveries, etc. And so we have now with weather intelligence a way to take a holistic look at the weather that is across your entire fleet operations. That's on the ground. You can see what's happening on the ground up to almost a second from any Samsara camera that's out there right now. So it's a quick way to take a look at the conditions. And over the next few months and years, AI will be able to automatically detect weather conditions like icy roads, etc.
Yeah, as somebody who grew up in snow.
Yeah, right.
And got older in snow.
Right.
I would really like that on my watch.
Right.
Because I can tell you, sort of the older that you get, driving in snow, it's just not a fun thing.
Right.
Very anxiety inducing. Maybe I'm the only one.
Right.
But I can only imagine for a driver that has, that truck, they have, they want to be safe for everybody around them.
Yeah.
They want us to be safe for themselves and get home safely.
Right.
So I can only imagine how much that really augments the experience and maybe reduces the amount of anxiety that they have on the road. Yeah,
totally. I mean, in one way that we're reducing anxiety now is we're automatically reducing speed limits for drivers dynamically based on weather conditions. And so the camera will alert them, hey, there's a weather event in progress right now. It's time to go a little bit more slowly so that you get home safely. All of that.
All right. So I hear that you had something pretty incredible happen at Super Bowl.
Oh, yes, we did.
Can you talk to me about that?
Sure. Yeah, Samsara, we had our first advertisement in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Not everyone on a podcast would have seen it. It was in certain geographical markets, but it was a pretty awesome piece. And it was Jesse Love, who, if you don't know who Jesse Love is, he's the youngest ever NASCAR champion.
Okay.
And
my cousin would know that.
Oh yeah, my brother too. Being from the South, we're NASCAR people. But Jesse he drives a Samsara car, and he is a great partner of ours, and he has recorded for us the first avatar that we use for coaching. So to take a step back, when a driver has something happen that they need to be coached on, for example, they were speeding a little too much, the Samsara safety inbox will say that to the fleet operations team, and then they can send a coaching event to the driver about reducing speed and how important that is. And the advertisement showed on the Samsara driver app, the driver looking at the coaching video, which was an avatar of Jesse Love, like with, speaking like an app, like you're actually speaking to the person, like, hey, to take your foot off the gas, leave that to professionals type thing. And we have that product now, the live avatar product. We're excited we have out, and we're using it a lot to provide a more personalized coaching experience.
Love that. We might want to talk about that because I have
You want to be the avatar
in trying to figure out content and like avatars and things like that. And I think it would be quite interesting.
Right. So. You could record 10 of these podcasts at the same time.
I mean, that would be interesting.
Right.
Now, let's talk about workers, technology, AI. You said that we were going to talk about AI, so let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Back office through people on the ground.
Yeah.
What does that look like? How are they thinking about it? How are you supporting them with it?
Yeah, I think, this weekend I took a trip to a remote island off the Pacific coast, actually, Catalina, which is beautiful. I've never been there. And there's a shuttle to take you around. And I got in the shuttle and I looked up, there's a Samsara dash cam on the window.
Okay.
And I said to the driver, I work at the company that makes that camera. And he said, "You work at Samsara? This has changed my life." So I just, everywhere I go,
the
shuttle driver.
Amazing.
And I said, "How's it changed your life?" He said, "Well, I used to have to fill out paper DVIR forms to the driver vehicle inspection report every day. And now I just open the Samsara app, take a few pictures and submit it, and I'm done. It tracks everything." And he said, we drive on these really poor roads remotely. If there's an accident, then I can grab the video in 5 minutes. Whereas before, the camera might not have been recording. I couldn't get the card out of it. I couldn't download the video. So that's, an example of how it's changing just one person's life.
Well, optimizing the time on the road.
Yes.
Too, right? And optimizing their time for them to be able to get back to their families.
Yeah, totally.
Right? It's like work-life balance.
Yes.
We're all a big proponent of that.
Right.
And so if you can reduce the amount of time that they're spending on paperwork.
Big time.
And any errors that might come from human error, right? We all do it. I do it every single day.
Yeah.
In that paperwork, and what that can actually do, the domino effect is huge.
Totally. I mean, imagine you were a driver operating, even just 5 years ago and everything was paper. The experience of having to fill all that out compared to what you can do on an app that you have on your phone anyway, we transition most of our life to apps. It's a good time to start doing this portion of it as well. And then, in terms of operating more easily on the back end team, we have a lot of customers use Samsara to monitor live progress of the package delivery or fleet transport of construction vehicles.
Yep.
And we constantly hear from them about how much more easily their life has become when they can see all of the vehicle status, the driver inspection reports daily, vehicle live updates on the map. It's like night and day compared to, telephone tag about where a driver is. Yeah.
Telephone tag?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
The worst.
Yeah, the
That's
worst.
giving me vibes of going back to the rotary phone.
Right. Yeah, right. Probably not a lot of people on my team would even have seen one of those.
They probably
But yeah, probably not.
I know what that is. Remember you had the phones that were attached to the wall?
Oh, I remember. Yeah, we had a 25-foot cord in my house.
25?
Yeah, it was a long one, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, talk to me about how this actually helps to retain talent.
Yeah.
Because this is a big deal, right?
Yes.
They're talking about driver shortages. We're talking about labor shortages when it comes to the back office, the warehouse, that kind of thing.
Right.
How does this help keep drivers in seats?
Yeah, I mean, driver churn is a really big issue in the industry, as you just said.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to keep people employed and happy in a role that can be physically challenging and difficult. A lot of these people, they're not just drivers, they have to handle 60, 80-pound, boxes, containers. They have to use dollies to move things around. So it's a hard job. Yeah. And when you make their life easier, it means a world of difference. So we just talked about how much easier it is to use the app. That certainly contributes to driver retention. I mean, would they rather go somewhere where they have to do paper forms, or would they just rather use the app? But another way that we found that's an interesting thing that you wouldn't really expect if you come from outside the driving world, we have turned the safety culture into a sort of gamification where drivers are, in a friendly way, competing with each other to earn safety badges. So, So, for example, you have your weekly team meeting with all the drivers in the organization, and you say, hey, whoever gets 50 hours of, or let's say 20 hours of safe driving this week, you get a $20 gift card. And the app tracks that, and you can see who the top drivers are. And it's amazing how people want to get that number one place.
Absolutely.
And,
I would want to. I mean, I just go, you took me back to my Girl Guide days.
Oh, yeah, right.
Where you get like that.
Right, instant,
you put on a sash.
Exactly.
We're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
It's all electronic.
Yeah.
We're putting it into a system that everybody can see.
Right.
And it's just rewarding.
Yeah.
Right? You want to be rewarded for all the things that you are doing right, that you're
Totally.
intentional about doing right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes you feel good.
So good. I'm there. It's not infrequently I go to a customer and a driver will pull me inside and say, I'm about to hit 500 hours of safe driving, and show me the app. And they're very proud about that. So yeah, they're very proud. And, at the end of the day, they come home to their families, which is the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that word proud, right?
Yeah.
Being able to show something like that when you couldn't quantify it in words previously.
Yes.
To be able to say, hey,
Yeah.
this is what I do on a daily basis. This is what I'm intentional about. I'm very proud of it. Like, this is the work that I do.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for us to culminate new talent within the industry to show them what's possible.
Yes.
But also to show them what they can strive for.
Totally
and how
agreed.
We're giving them the tools to be able to do that.
Right. Yes. I mean, especially, can you imagine telling a 20-year-old, here's a piece of paper you got to fill out before you can drive the truck?
Oh my goodness. They would be like,
right.
What's a pen?
Right. Exactly. I don't know how to write cursive.
I mean, I still write in cursive, but I will tell you, it's gotten really strong.
Yeah. We hardly.
I don't use it
right.
anymore.
It's almost useless now.
I really don't.
Right.
I want to turn back to AI.
Yeah.
I've been having a lot of really honest conversations about what AI looks like in organizations, how they're thinking about it.
Yeah.
There's hype. There's also
Yes.
reality, right?
Yeah.
Of what we can realistically do.
Yeah.
One conversation that I've had recently with a VP of supply chain was around AI, and they said that they are putting together their own internal AI council. Because what they were saying was all of the tools that they're using, there's different data points, there's different AI that's going on in these different tools.
Right.
They want to make sure that their data is whole before they start ingesting it into different systems.
Yes. Yeah.
So they're starting internally to do that versus starting with the tool to be able to do that, because it only pulls a certain amount of the data.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So how is Samsara thinking about AI versus reality? How are you talking about it?
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to answer that in two parts because the first part of your question was really interesting, which is companies have data in many different systems, and that is a big problem, right? Because
when he said it, I was like, it makes sense.
Even in physical operations, it's not uncommon for us to go and speak with customers who have over 10 systems just for the transportation aspect of their business. And when data exists in different clouds and different environments, it's really hard or impossible to make any correlations between them, even with AI.
Right.
And so at Samsara, we have taken a platform approach where all of the data resides in the same place. So once you have your vehicle telematics, your safety information, your maintenance information, your route planning, all in one location, you can start to draw some very interesting conclusions about all of the things that are happening in your org. So that's the first part. I think it's important to understand that having the data all accessible in one location is very beneficial.
Right.
On the hype versus reality, this is a legitimate question, right? Because we've been told for years, AI, it's going to reach, artificial, become a person, and effectively, AGI, artificial general intelligence. So there's a lot of hype out there, but right now, first of all, physical operations is a little more advanced using AI. I think ahead of their time. Before ChatGPT came out, there was a lot of AI being used in physical operations for things like, package sorting, et cetera. And in the last 2 years, the AI has really gone from hype to reality in many other ways. And, I talked about drowsiness detection through AI. Another way that we're using AI right now out live in the field is imagine these large trucks that are tractor trailers or box trucks that have limited visibility, especially when you're making a turn.
Yeah.
We have a system now called the AI multicam that we could put cameras on the sides of vehicles and the rear. And the AI is able to alert the driver immediately if it detects a pedestrian that the vehicle could hit.
Wow.
And that wasn't possible a few years back because this computing power that's required to detect pedestrians, it had to be miniaturized, and now it can reside in the vehicle. It can't get sent to the cloud and back. The delay is too long. You could hit somebody by that point.
Absolutely.
And so now it's not only do we have that product in production, but it's a legal requirement in many places. Like London now has a legal requirement that you have to have pedestrian collision detection. And so
it's coming down the pipe.
It's
for rules
already
and regulations,
right. The rules and regulations coming down the pipe. It's already out there in the field in practice, and it's amazing to put it on vehicles and have customers say, "Well, you prevented someone from getting hit by a car," which
Well, and I just think about driving, and I think about that sticker
yes,
that's on the back of a truck
yeah,
that says it makes wide turns.
yeah, right,
And it has the picture
yeah,
of what could potentially happen if your
right,
car goes or there's a person there or anything like that.
exactly.
And I always thought that sticker was great,
Okay.
but if the pedestrian is at the front of the truck, they're not necessarily going to see
Right. Yeah.
the
Exactly.
picture,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
And so this really takes it that much further and keeps everything in mind when we're thinking about road safety.
Totally.
Which is great. I love that.
Yeah, I got one quick example for you more on AI and how it's solving. We have a customer called First Student. They run a very large school bus network in the U.S.
School buses.
Right.
Yes.
They have 45,000 school buses. They're using AI in vehicle for a number of other things. For example, student safety.
Okay.
Making sure students are seated. Actually looking at the percentage of how full is the bus to make their operations more efficient.
And if they stand up, does the bus stop?
Yeah, right. No, we haven't put the engine immobilizer on that. That's technically possible.
That might be a
Right.
little dangerous.
Yeah, that would be exactly. But yeah, anyway, the AI is being put to good use now. I think.
Now, you talked about it being a platform.
Yeah.
One platform for
Yes.
all.
Yeah.
Which I think is important when it comes to data. It's important when it comes to those data gaps that I was mentioning earlier.
Yeah.
But traditionally in this industry, you know as well as I do, we work in silos.
Right.
I can't believe in 2026 I'm still saying that
Yeah.
because I feel like
Crazy,
there
right?
should be at collaboration.
Yeah.
Why is that so important? Like, how does that stop the success of a tech project? Because essentially, if you're working in silos, how are you going to successfully implement something like this?
Well, let me give you a real world example to kind of maybe envision this. Let's say you have a truck that is using Samsara for telematics, and you have a separate software platform to monitor all of your maintenance across your fleet. Vehicles have to be maintained. They need regular maintenance after hours or miles or time. With the Samsara platform all together in one location, where the vehicle telematics can detect for example, a drop in battery voltage over time, we know that battery needs to be swapped out. And we run the maintenance. We have the maintenance part of the platform as well. So we can automatically add the battery replacement to the next scheduled vehicle maintenance without any human intervention at all. And if you had that in disparate systems, the maintenance platform wouldn't know the battery's degrading.
Right. And you wouldn't be able to let them know that something needs to happen with that.
Right.
So let's talk about that. How does all of this affect supply chain agility? I mean, you and I know that there's disruptions every day.
Right.
They know, the professionals, the leaders know they need to be resilient.
Yep.
But they also know that their supply chains need to be agile to be able to navigate through some of these things that are coming at them every day.
Yeah. So, I mean, gosh, there's so much we could talk about on this, but we just have a few minutes left. When you take all of the information that's at your disposal, things that typically can slow down or disrupt supply chain, like weather that we talked about before, right?
Yeah.
Weather is critically important. It can impact day-to-day operations.
And it can be days.
Yeah,
right. You don't have the right system.
Right.
And one of the things that I said the other day, and I'm sorry to interrupt, is if your supply chain isn't moving, it's losing money.
Right. Exactly. We just had a huge ice storm in the south. And you guys probably heard about it. You had freezing temperatures in Florida.
Yeah.
And, knowing where and when the vehicle needs to move is critically important. So weather, maintenance also obviously is a huge disruptor to the industry. When a vehicle breaks down by the side of the road, that can cause a huge disruption. And then even when you think about routing packages and deliveries, if you have 10,000 packages and 200 vehicles to deliver them, how you send your vehicles and what packages you put on each vehicle makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And then, another thing that can really disrupt the supply chain is fuel utilization. If people are idling their vehicles too long, they're wasting money and they're using fuel that you didn't account for, there needs to be another fuel stop, et cetera. So we're making a lot of advancements in putting all of that information together in one picture so that fleet operators and route planners, et cetera, can all operate with everything, every piece of information available at their fingertips.
Yeah, and so needed.
Yeah.
Right? The agility is such a game changer. It's a competitive advantage.
Yes.
And it also, like we talked about cost earlier, we talked about cost and AI being the top things.
Yeah.
We've already talked about AI, but the cost part of it.
Yeah.
Right? It's a domino effect. There are things that you don't even think about or account for
Right.
that are being accounted for within those costs. And when you're asking to be reduce the costs within your supply chains,
Yes.
there is some low-hanging fruit that if you put the right tools and have the right partners in place, that you're able to do that.
Totally.
And you talked about fuel. Now I want to talk about sustainability and ESG.
Yeah.
Because I think it's coming back.
Yeah.
2026, sustainability is going to be a big thing.
Yeah.
And I want to know how all of this ties into that. Because you mentioned fuel and fuel consumption.
Fuel's a big cost for any,
is a big deal in supply chain.
Yeah. So I am doing a panel tomorrow with this. Sustainability is part of that. But I mentioned fuel, and I think a big part of environmental responsibility comes from using fuel in the most appropriate way. And right now, it's surprising how many vehicles are idling in supply chain fleets across the U.S. and other countries. I was just at a customer who everyone on your podcast would know the name of the customer. I was there, and we were running a trial on just 50 vehicles, and one of the vehicles had idled in the first week the trial was in place for 23 hours and 59 minutes.
How is that possible?
Right? People just don't turn the engines off.
Wow.
Because they don't have to, or who knows why.
Or maybe it's cold outside. I mean, to be fair.
Right. There are, that is a legitimate sometimes, although for a day, probably it's cheaper to get a hotel.
I mean, fair.
Right. But that's an extreme example. But when we look across our customer fleets, idling is a huge cost that can not only, if you take control of it, drive down costs but help the environment. That's one thing. I mentioned route planning. Efficiently routing vehicles is another way.
That's a huge game changer.
Game changer.
I was talking to somebody just a little while ago where they were able to route, or they did a simulation and they routed it 2 different ways.
Yes.
And they were sort of wondering why the driver was stopping so many times or why it was taking so long. Mm-hmm. And when they did the simulation with the 2 different routes, they actually realized that there was 1 rest stop on one versus 2 or something like that.
Right.
I don't know.
Right. There's a lot of room for improving efficiency there, and that results in a lot of fuel savings and environmental benefits as well. And then, as we look towards the transition to EVs, electric vehicles, across multiple different fleets, when you have all your telemetry and vehicle data all in one platform, it makes it relatively easy to see which vehicles and routes would be most efficiently transferred to an electric vehicle from an internal combustion vehicle. And, as we make that transition, you want to have that data at your fingertips. So when your boss says, we need to move to EVs, you're ready to go with, well, these 20 can go right now.
Well, especially around capital costs. Right? I mean, these things aren't cheap.
Right. They're not cheap.
So you need to be able to understand where your fleet is today, what your fleet might need to look like tomorrow, and what it needs to look like maybe 30, 60, 90 days.
Agreed. Right. Yeah.
So last question.
Okay.
Get out your crystal ball.
Yes.
I want to know some predictions. What do you think 2026 is going to look like from challenges, opportunities for Samsara, for your customers?
Mm-hmm.
Give us the tea.
Okay. Well, I mean, gosh, the opportunities are enormous and so many. I mean, you don't have to go look farther than just a few booths away here at Manifest to see all of the tech how technology is impacting the supply chain. But, I think in the next year, we're going to see the adoption of physical AI increasing. More and more of the leaders in supply chain are going to be using AI in their physical operations. The ability to integrate predictive risk models into, who is most likely to have an accident and when, and how can we mitigate that risk in real time is going to really skyrocket in 2026, I think.
Yeah, I always say spending your risk dollars.
Yeah. Yes.
How do we predict where we want? Because everything comes with inherent risk.
Yeah.
You're not going to get away from that.
Right.
Whatever choice you make is going to be risk.
Right.
But where are your risk dollars? Where do you want those to be spent?
And sometimes AI, like a little bit of AI investment, can make a dramatic change that will result in a huge risk reduction for you. Like Bob doesn't like driving at night. He's had 4 crashes in the last 3 months at night. Let's reassign Bob automatically to daytime routes, for example. So those are both opportunities. They both center around AI, but there's a lot.
Also look at the driver holistically.
Yes.
And be able to meet them where they are.
Yes.
And not force them into uncomfortable situations or things that they don't necessarily feel comfortable doing.
Yeah.
It goes back to my point around reducing stress
Yeah.
and anxiety,
Right.
and having more wellness and work-life
Yes.
balance.
Agreed. Totally. And actually, you're kind of bringing me to my challenge for the industry, I think,
Okay.
which is it for especially video-based safety products. There's been some resistance in the industry, like from
Okay.
drivers saying we don't
Yeah.
want to be monitored all the time. But what's interesting to us here at Samsara is that invariably, as drivers start to use the video-based safety product, they not only embrace it, but if they move to another company that doesn't have it, they buy their own, because it's become
Wow.
such an important part of their safety toolbox that warns them if they're falling asleep, reminds them not to pick up their phone,
Right.
and all of these things make sure they get home safely to their families at night.
And so they actually take their own money and invest it in
Yes.
that, the company. And that's interesting because I talk about LLMs
Yes.
and I talk about how your team members are using them personally at home.
Right.
So if you're not enabling them with the tools that they're
Right.
used to using and how they want to work,
Yeah.
they're going to go and do it on their own anyways.
Totally.
And
Right.
then your data is not
Yeah.
data anymore.
Right.
If they might be ingesting it
Yeah.
in a way that you don't want it to be
Yeah.
out in public.
Right. Right.
And so they're kind of similar things.
It is. Yeah.
What it means is we need to bring the tools to the table
Yes.
that your team members are used to using, want to use,
Agreed.
otherwise they're going to invest themselves.
Agreed. And that, all of this is on that for us on the Samsara app, which becomes the heart of the driver's operation.
Yeah.
We're really happy with how well things are looking at for 2026.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you shared all of that.
Thank you.
And I do need to let the audience know about this question that we
Yeah.
asked. Did you have a guess at today's big question? So just a reminder, I asked you, by what percentage do fleets that implement Samsara's full safety solution reduce their crash rates? Do you know what it is? I'm going to put you on the spot. It's okay if you don't.
73%.
Woo, you were so close. 75% over 30 months.
It
Right?
sounds unbelievable, doesn't
That
it?
is a big number.
That you can add a technology and then all of your crashes go down by that much. But that is truly what is happening right now.
Well, and 75% is not just good for the organization.
No.
It's good for the community around them as well.
Totally. Completely. In every way.
Well, I love all of this. And if you want to learn more, you can go to Samsara's website, samsara.com, to learn a little bit more. I'm sure you can also connect with.
Yeah. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Absolutely.
Love that. Well, live here at Manifest, that's it for Tim and I. My name is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey, and this is Let's Talk Supply Chain.